Hay walked through the busy corridors of Nexus Point Station, carrying her datapad close to her chest. The station was always crowded at this hour, filled with aliens from dozens of different worlds. Some were tall and thin, others short and round. Some had scales, others had fur. Hay had learned to recognize most of them. During her 2 years working here, she was 19 years old and worked as a translator for Earth's diplomatic office. It was a good job, even if the pay wasn't great. She got to use the 7 alien languages she had studied since she was 14. Back then, when Earth first made contact with alien civilizations, Hay had been so excited. She dreamed of a future where humans and aliens worked together in peace. Today, she was delivering translation files to the commerce sector. Ambassador Yuna had asked her to drop them off before the end of her shift. Hay took a shortcut through the cargo area. It was usually empty this time of day, but today it wasn't empty. Hay turned a corner and froze. 3 Drolf soldiers stood near a cargo container. The Drolf were a species that looked like they were built for war. They stood over 7 feet tall, with thick gray skin and powerful muscles. Their eyes were small and dark, and their mouths were filled with sharp teeth. One of the soldiers was scanning the container with a device. Another was entering codes into a control panel. The third one was watching the corridor. None of them had noticed Hay yet. She knew she shouldn't be seeing this. The cargo container had illegal markings on it. Hay had seen enough smuggling operations to recognize one. She started to back away slowly, trying not to make any noise. Her datapad beeped. All 3 Drolf soldiers turned to look at her. Their dark eyes locked onto her small human frame. "Stop!" One of them growled in the common galactic language. Hay ran. She didn't get far. The Drolf were fast, much faster than she expected. One of them grabbed her from behind, lifting her off the ground like she weighed nothing. Hay screamed and kicked, but it was useless. The soldier's grip was like iron. "Please," Hay said, her voice shaking. "I didn't see anything. I won't tell anyone. Please let me go." The 3 soldiers looked at each other. Then the largest one smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. "This human saw our operation," he said to the others. "We cannot let her report us." "We should eliminate her," another one said. "No," the largest one said. "We should teach her a lesson. Teach all these weak species what happens when they spy on the Drolf." They dragged Hay to an unused holding cell in the lower levels of the station. Nobody came down here anymore. The cell was cold and dark, with metal walls and a floor that smelled like rust and old chemicals. The Drolf locked her inside. Then they started. At first, they just hit her. Hay tried to protect her face with her arms, but they were so strong. Each punch felt like being hit with a metal bar. She tasted blood in her mouth. Her nose broke with a crack that made her scream. "Stop!" She cried. "Please stop." But they didn't stop. They took turns. When one got tired, another would continue. They asked her questions she couldn't answer. They told her she was weak, that humans were nothing, that Earth was a joke among the real powers of the galaxy. On the second day, one of them brought a device that sent electric shocks through her body. Hay screamed until her voice went hoarse. She begged them to stop, to kill her, to do anything but continue. The Drolf broadcast her screams throughout the lower cargo area. They wanted other species to hear what happened to those who crossed them. Ambassador Yuna found out about Hay's disappearance on the 3rd day. She filed an emergency complaint with the Galactic Council. She showed them evidence that the Drolf had taken one of her staff members. She demanded they investigate immediately. The council listened to her complaint. Then they voted. The decision was 13-4 against investigating. The council representative, a tall alien with blue skin and too many eyes, delivered the verdict. The Drolf claimed this is an internal security matter, the representative said. The human was caught spying on a military operation. The Galactic Council has no authority to interfere with member species security protocols. Una slammed her hand on the table. She's a translator. A civilian. They're torturing her. We have only your word for that, the representative said calmly. The Drolf deny any wrongdoing. Without proof, we cannot act. Una left the council chamber shaking with rage. She knew what was happening. Everyone knew. The Drolf were one of the most powerful military species in the galaxy. Nobody wanted to anger them over one human girl. Earth was new to the galactic community, only 15 years since first contact. They had no real power, no strong allies, no way to force the council to act. She sent messages to Earth, to her superiors, to anyone who might help. The responses all said the same thing. We're working through diplomatic channels. Be patient. But Hay didn't have time to be patient. On the third day, Hay managed to stay conscious long enough to reach her cum device. The Drolf had left it in the corner of the cell, thinking it was broken. But Hay had learned to repair tech devices during her studies. With broken fingers, she connected 2 wires and sent a single encrypted message to Earth. The message contained the coordinates of the holding cell, the identities of her 3 captors, and 3 words: they won't stop. Then she passed out from the pain. The message reached Earth's military command center within hours. It was routed to a special department that most people didn't know existed. The department had no official name, but the people who worked there called it the Garden. General Bin received the message personally. He was an old man with gray hair and cold eyes. He had been in charge of the Garden since it was created, back when humanity's first contact with aliens had gone wrong. Back when Earth learned that the galaxy was not a friendly place for the weak. He read the message 3 times. Then he looked at the file attached to it. Hay's file. 19 years old. Orphan. Learned 7 languages because she wanted to help humans and aliens understand each other better. Believed in peace and cooperation. General Bin picked up his phone. He made 1 call. Wake them up, he said. Deep beneath Earth's surface, in a facility hidden under layers of rock and metal and secrecy, 5 cryopods began to hum. The temperature inside started to rise. Ice crystals formed on the outside of the pods as the systems activated. Inside each pod, a human began to wake. They had been asleep for 6 years, waiting for the day they would be needed again. Today was that day. Ambassador Una received a message from Earth later that evening. It was short, just 1 sentence. The matter will be handled. She didn't know what it meant, but something about those words made her feel hopeful for the first time in 3 days. The first thing Tay felt was cold. Then pain in his chest as his lungs took in air for the first time in 6 years. The cryopod around him hissed open, and warm light flooded in. He stepped out onto the metal floor, his legs shaky but growing stronger with each second. Around him, 4 other pods were opening. His team, his family. Jin stepped out of his pod without a sound. He was built like a tank, tall and heavily muscled. Even after 6 years of sleep, his movements were precise and controlled. He nodded at Tay once, then began stretching his arms. Rin came out next. She was smaller than the others, but Tay knew better than anyone how dangerous she could be. Her eyes were sharp and alert, already scanning the room for threats, even though they were in the safest facility on Earth. Dal stumbled a bit as he left his pod. He blinked several times, adjusting to the light. Dal was the youngest of them, early 25 when they went into cryo. He was also the smartest, able to hack any system, understand any technology. Give him 10 minutes with an alien computer, and he could take control of an entire ship. Nar, I was the last to emerge. She moved with the grace of a dancer, her medical training obvious in the way she immediately checked her own vital signs. Then looked at the others to make sure they were okay. She caught Tay's eye and smiled slightly. It was good to see his team again. Status? Tay asked. His voice was rough from disuse. Functional, Jin said. Ready, Rin added. Give me coffee and I'm perfect, Dal said, rubbing his eyes. Nari just nodded. The door to the cryo chamber opened. General Bin walked in, flanked by 2 guards. The old man looked even older than Tay remembered. 6 years had not been kind to him. Welcome back, Bin said. I wish I could give you time to adjust. We don't have it. Brief us, Tay said, pulling on the uniform that had been laid out for him. They moved to the briefing room. The walls lit up with screens showing images and data. Tay saw the station called Nexus Point. He saw a young woman's face. She looked kind, with soft features and gentle eyes. The kind of person who smiled at strangers. Her name is Hay, Bin said. 19 years old. Translator working at our diplomatic office on Nexus Point. 3 days ago, she witnessed a Droth smuggling operation. The screens changed. Now they showed images of 3 Droth soldiers. Big, mean-looking creatures with gray skin and dead eyes. They took her, Bin continued. For 3 days, they tortured her. They broadcast her screams as a warning to other species. The Galactic Council refused to act. They said it was an internal security matter. Jin's hands clenched into fists. Rin's expression went cold. Dal stopped looking at his datapad and stared at the screens. Nari closed her eyes for a moment. Tay felt the familiar anger building in his chest. This was why they existed. This was why they had volunteered for the program. Let the scientists change their bodies, enhance their minds, turn them into something more than human, so that no human would ever be helpless again. Where is she now? Tay asked. Still alive, Bin said. Barely. The Droth moved her to their military cruiser, the Vok Render. They're taking her to their home world. They plan to execute her publicly. When? Rin asked. The execution is scheduled for 5 days from now. The ship is currently in transit, 3 days out from Droth Prime. Dal was already at a computer terminal, his fingers flying over the keys. I've got the ship's route. Heavy cruiser, crew of 347. Shield generators, plasma cannons, the works. Standard Droth military layout. Can we catch them? Tay asked. Bin smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Your ship is already loaded and ready. The Shadow Garden. The Shadow Garden. Should get you there in time. Tay looked at his team. They were all watching him, waiting for orders. Just like old times. Rules of engagement? He asked Bin. The general's expression went hard. Retrieve the girl. As for the Droth, he paused. Show them why we built you. Show them what happens when they hurt one of ours. No survivors unless you decide otherwise. This is not a diplomatic mission. This is a message. Tay nodded. He understood. For 15 years, Earth had played nice with the galaxy. They had joined the Galactic Council, followed the rules, been patient and diplomatic. They had hidden their teeth and pretended to be harmless. That ended today. Gear up, Tay told his team. We launch in 1 hour. The armory was exactly as they had left it. Walls lined with weapons that officially didn't exist. Armor that could stop a plasma blast. Devices that could hack alien systems, jam communications, break through any shield. Everything they needed to fight a war by themselves. Tay pulled on his combat suit. It was black, made from materials that absorbed sensor scans. The suit would enhance his already enhanced strength, let him move faster, hit harder. Built into the helmet were systems that would let him see in any spectrum, breathe in any atmosphere, communicate with his team across any distance. Jin chose his heavy armor. It made him look like a walking fortress. The armor carried enough firepower to level a building. Jin had always believed in the direct approach. Rin's suit was lighter, designed for infiltration. She also took several devices that would let her look like almost anyone. Holographic projectors, voice modulators, identity spoofers. Rin could walk through an enemy ship and no one would know. She was there until it was too late. Dao loaded his gear with technology. Hacking devices, computer breakers, signal jammers. He would be their eyes and ears, the one who could turn the enemy's own systems against them. Nari took medical supplies along with her combat gear. She was trained to save lives, but she was also trained to end them. Her specialty was close combat, silent and deadly. They boarded the Shadow Garden. The ship was small, designed for a crew of 5. But what it lacked in size, it made up for in speed and stealth. No alien sensor could detect it. No alien ship could catch it. The Shadow Garden had been built using technology Earth had developed in secret. Based on theories that most alien species thought were impossible dawed as they launched from the hidden facility. Tay pulled up Hay's file again. He read through her history. Orphan, raised in a government home. Studied alien languages by herself. Taught herself to read and write in scripts that made no sense to human eyes. Applied for the translator position because she wanted to help build bridges between humans and aliens. She believed in peace. She believed in understanding. She believed the galaxy could be a better place, and they had tortured her for 3 days for the crime of seeing something she shouldn't have. Tay closed the file. He looked at his team, strapped into their seats as the ship accelerated into slipspace. They were ready. They had trained for this. They had given up normal lives, normal futures, to be ready for this exact moment. 3 days to intercept, Dao said, checking his calculations. We'll reach them before they get to Drolf Prime. Good, Tay said. Everyone rest when you can. When we reach that ship, we go loud. Full reveal. I want every Drolf on that vessel to know exactly what hit them. Jin smiled. It was the first time Tay had seen him smile in years. About time, Jin said. The Shadow Garden disappeared into slipspace, racing toward its target. Behind them, General Bin watched the ship vanish from his screens. He picked up his phone again. It's done, he said. The Garden is deployed. On the other end of the line, Earth's military command began preparing. Whatever happened next, the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. The Drolf cruiser Vok Render moved through space like a predator. It was massive, over 2 kilometers long, covered in armor and weapons. 347 soldiers lived and worked inside it. They believed they were safe. They believed nothing in the galaxy could touch them. They were wrong. The Shadow Garden approached from below, where the cruiser's sensors had a blind spot. Dao had found the weakness in their detection grid within minutes of scanning the ship. Now they floated just 100 meters away, completely invisible. Supply shuttle is docking in 10 minutes, Dao said, watching his screens. It's automated, no crew. Perfect opportunity. Rin and Dao would go first. The plan was simple. Sneak onto the ship, find Hay, get her stable enough to move, then signal the others. Tay didn't like splitting up the team, but there was no other way. The cruiser was too big, too well defended to assault directly. Not yet. Remember, Tay said. You're maintenance contractors. You're there to fix a cooling system on Deck 7. Stay quiet as long as possible. Rin nodded. She had already activated her disguise. The holographic projector made her look like a short, brown-skinned alien species called the Mect. They were common workers throughout the galaxy. Nobody ever paid attention to them. Dao had his own disguise ready. He looked like a technical specialist from a species that worked cheap. His tool bag was full of actual repair equipment. Hidden under the tools were weapons and hacking devices. They drifted over to the supply shuttle in their spacesuits. Dal opened its cargo door with ease. 2 minutes later, they were inside the cruiser, walking through the corridors like they belonged there. The Droth barely looked at them. To the soldiers, they were just more servants, more lesser species doing the work the mighty Droth didn't want to do. Rin kept her head down and followed the signs to the maintenance areas. Dal stayed close behind her, already scanning the ship's internal network with a device hidden in his palm. "I've got the layout," Dal whispered through their secure com. "Medical detention is on Deck 4, Section 12. That's where they're keeping her." They made their way down. The corridors were wide and tall, built for the large Droth bodies. Everything was gray metal and harsh lights. The air smelled like oil and something chemical that made Dal's nose itch. A Droth officer stopped them once. "What are you doing here?" he demanded. Rin bowed low. "Maintenance, Honored One. Cooling system failure on Deck 7. We were called to fix it." The officer grunted and waved them on. They weren't worth his time. Medical detention was guarded by 2 soldiers. Rin and Dal walked past, pretending to be heading somewhere else. Once they were around the corner, Dal pulled out a small device. "Cutting their communications now," he said. 30 seconds, then we move." Rin dropped her disguise. Her real face appeared, and she pulled out her weapons. Dal did the same. They weren't pretending anymore. They went around the corner fast. The 2 guards barely had time to react before Rin was on them. She moved like water, flowing around their strikes, her blade finding the weak spots in their armor. Both guards went down without making a sound. Dal opened the door. The medical detention area was like a prison. Small cells lined both walls. Most were empty. The third one on the left held Hay. Rin's breath caught when she saw the girl. Hay was barely recognizable. Her face was swollen and bruised. Her arms were bent at wrong angles. Blood covered her clothes. She was breathing, but each breath looked painful. "Nari," Rin said into her com. "We found her. It's bad. Really bad." On the Shadow Garden, Nari's voice came through clearly. "Tell me what you see." Rin described everything while Dal worked on opening the cell door. Nari listened, asked questions, and gave instructions. Both arms broken, probably 3 ribs, internal bleeding. She needs a medical pod immediately. "Can she be moved?" "We don't have a choice," Rin said. "We can't do surgery here." "Then stabilize her as much as you can. I'll prep the medical bay." Rin knelt beside Hay. The girl's eyes opened slightly. They were filled with pain and fear. "It's okay," Rin said softly in Korean. "We're human. We're here to take you home." Hay's broken lips moved. "More of them. I know. Don't worry about them. Worry about staying alive." Rin injected Hay with painkillers and started wrapping her broken bones. Dal stood guard at the door, his weapon ready. So far, no one had noticed them. Then an alarm started blaring. "They found the guards," Dal said. Tay's voice came through the com. "Status?" "We have her," Rin said. "But she can't walk. We need extraction now." "On our way." "Hold position." The alarm meant the entire ship knew intruders were aboard. Soldiers would be rushing to their location. Rin finished stabilizing Hay and picked her up as gently as possible. The girl weighed almost nothing. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. Many footsteps. The Droth were coming. "Time to go loud," Tay said. His voice was cold, calm. "All units full reveal. No survivors." On the other side of the ship, Jim blew a hole through the outer hull. He flew through the gap in his heavy armor, plasma cannon already firing. Droth soldiers trying to reach the armory died before they understood what was happening. Tay entered through the main hangar. He moved so fast the cameras couldn't track him properly. His enhanced body let him dodge plasma fire and strike back with precision. Every shot he fired found a target. Every step brought him closer to his objective. Dal hacked into the ship's main computer. The lights flickered. The artificial gravity in several sections shut off. Defense turrets turned and started firing at Droth soldiers instead of intruders. The ship's own weapons were killing its crew. What is this? One Droth commander screamed into his comm. What are they? Humans. Tay's voice came through every speaker on the ship. And you made a mistake. The Droth tried to organize a defense. They were trained soldiers, experienced warriors. But they had never fought anything like this. The humans moved too fast, hit too hard, seemed to know where every Droth would be before they got there. Their weapons cut through Droth armor like it was paper. Their tactics were perfect. Flawless. Jin reached the command deck. The officers there tried to stop him. They failed. Jin's armor took their plasma hits without damage. His return fire left no survivors. Tay fought his way to medical detention. He found Rin and Dal surrounded by dead Droth soldiers. Dal was breathing hard, his weapon smoking. Rin held Hay carefully, protecting the injured girl with her own body. Let's go, Tay said. They moved through the ship as a team. Any Droth who tried to stop them died. The soldiers learned quickly to run instead of fight. But there was nowhere to run. Nair, I had brought the Shadow Garden to the cruiser's main hangar. She stood at the boarding ramp, medical equipment ready. As soon as Rin handed Hay over, Nari rushed her into the medical bay. Cleared the ship, Tay ordered. We're done here. Jin set charges throughout the cruiser. Not to destroy it, just to disable it. They wanted the ship to survive long enough to deliver their message. The team gathered on the Shadow Garden. Through the ship's windows, they could see the Droth cruiser floating dead in space. All its lights were off. All its weapons silent. All its crew dead. Tay sat down at the communication station. He opened a channel to the cruiser's main computer and started recording. This message is for the Droth government and anyone else listening. The human you tortured was named Hay. She was 19 years old. She worked as a translator. She wanted peace between our species. You hurt her because you thought you could. Because you thought humans were weak. Because you thought no one would stop you. He paused, looking at the dead ship on his screen. You were wrong. This is mercy. We're only taking back what's ours. We destroyed one ship. We killed 347 soldiers. That's all. But understand this. If you touch another human, if you harm one of our people ever again, we won't just take them back. We'll come for you. All of you. And next time, we won't show mercy. Tay ended the recording and set it to broadcast to every Droth ship in range. In the medical bay. Nari worked to save Hay's life. The girl's injuries were severe, but Nari was the best. If anyone could save her, it was Nari. The Shadow Garden turned and headed back toward Earth. Behind them, the Vok render drifted in space, a tomb and a warning. The message was sent. The galaxy would receive it soon, and everything would change. The news reached the Galactic Council 3 hours after the Vok render went silent. A Droth military cruiser, one of their strongest ships, had been destroyed by humans. All crew members were dead. The ship's computers contained a recording. A threat. The council chamber erupted in chaos. This is an act of war. The Droth ambassador roared. His gray face was dark with rage. The humans must be punished. Their planet must answer for this crime. The council representative tried to restore order. Please, let us examine the facts before. Facts? The Droth ambassador slammed his massive fist on the table. 347 of our soldiers are dead. What other facts do you need? Ambassador Yuna sat quietly in the human delegation section. She had received word from Earth an hour before the news broke. A simple message. Hay is safe. Coming home. She knew what had happened. She knew what was coming next. The Blue Skin Council representative finally managed to get everyone quiet. The council will hear testimony from both sides. Ambassador Yuna, Earth has been accused of a military attack on a Galactic Council member species. How do you respond? Yuna stood up. Every alien in the room turned to look at her. She was small compared to most of them. Humans usually were. But today, she didn't feel small. Before I respond, she said calmly, I would like the council to watch something. She activated a video file. The screens around the chamber lit up. They showed Hay being tortured. The sounds of her screams filled the room. 3 days of recordings, edited down to 5 minutes. It was horrible to watch. Many of the council members looked away. Some covered their ears. The Droth ambassador's face went pale. This is Hay, Yuna said. 19 years old. A civilian translator working at Nexus Point. The Droth captured her because she accidentally witnessed a smuggling operation. For 3 days, they tortured her. They broadcast her screams as entertainment. She paused, letting the video continue. 3 days ago, I came before this council and asked for help. I asked you to investigate. I asked you to save this child. Do you remember what you said? The room was silent, except for the sounds of Hay's screams from the video. You said it was an internal security matter. You said you couldn't interfere. You said I had no proof of wrongdoing. You did nothing while a human child was tortured. Yuna stopped the video. The silence that followed was heavy. So Earth did something. We rescued our citizen. We protected our own when no one else would. The Droth call this an act of war. I call it justice. The Droth ambassador stood up, shaking with rage. You cannot justify the murder of 300 soldiers because of one. Careful, Yuna said. Her voice was quiet but sharp. Choose your next words very carefully. That one was a child. A civilian. An innocent person who believed in peace and cooperation. Your soldiers tortured her for 3 days. If you're about to say she deserved it, then yes, this will become a war. Other council members started speaking at once. Some supported Earth. Others condemned the attack. The Droth demanded compensation and punishment. The chamber descended into chaos again. Finally, a representative from a species called the Tauren stood up. The Tauren were old, one of the first species to join the council. When they spoke, others usually listened. Perhaps, the Tauren said slowly, we should ask ourselves why this happened. The humans have been members of this council for 15 years. In that time, they have followed every rule. They have been peaceful. They have been patient. They have caused no trouble. The Tauren looked directly at the Droth ambassador. Until now. Until one of their children was harmed. Does this not tell us something? Does this not suggest that perhaps the humans were right to act when we failed them? The Droth ambassador started to object, but the Tauren raised a hand. I am not finished. The council has a duty to protect all member species. We failed in that duty. We let politics and fear of the Droth military cloud our judgment. We abandoned the child to torture because it was easier than confronting a powerful species. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some agreed. Some disagreed. But everyone was listening now. The humans have shown us something today, the Tauren continued. They have shown us that they are not as weak as we believed. They have shown us that they will protect their own. And they have shown us that we, the Galactic Council, must do better. On Earth, General Bin watched the council proceedings on his screen. Behind him, the cryopods hummed softly. The team had returned yesterday. Hay was in the medical facility, still unconscious but stable. Nari said she would survive. Bin's phone rang. It was Earth's president. "The council is falling apart," the president said. "Half of them want to sanction us. The other half is afraid of what we might do next. The Drolth are demanding war." "Let them demand," Bin said. "The team is ready to deploy again, if necessary." "How many more of them do we have?" Bin looked at the rows of cryopods stretching into the darkness of the facility. Hundreds of them. Each one held a volunteer, a human who had given up everything to become humanity's hidden sword. "Enough," Bin said. "We have enough." Back at the Galactic Council, Una presented Earth's official position. "We want peace. We have always wanted peace. But we will not be victims. We propose a civilian protection treaty, a law that protects non-combatants from all species, a law with real enforcement. And if we refuse?" The Drolth ambassador demanded. Una met his eyes. "Then you'll learn exactly how many more soldiers, like the ones who rescued Hay, we have waiting." Earth came to the stars with hope. "We wanted to be your friends, your partners, your students. We still want that. But if you force us to be your enemies..." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Every alien in the room had seen the recording from the Vok render. They had seen what 5 humans could do to an entire military cruiser. The vote took 3 days. During that time, more information came out. Other species began reporting incidents where the Drolth had abused civilians. The Drolth government insisted these were all lies, but the evidence was overwhelming. They had used their military power to bully weaker species for decades. The torture of Hay was just the first time anyone had fought back. The Tauran species announced they would support Earth's treaty. Then the mech joined them. Then others. One by one, species that had been afraid to stand up to the Drolth found courage. The Drolth government faced a choice. They could fight Earth and risk facing more hidden soldiers. Or they could accept the treaty and reform their military's behavior. They chose reform. Barely. The vote in their government was close. But survival won over pride. The Civilian Protection Treaty passed in the Galactic Council with overwhelming support. Any species that harmed civilians from another species would face immediate sanctions and possible military action. The Council established an enforcement division with real power to investigate and punish violations. For the first time in the Council's history, the strong could not abuse the weak without consequences. Earth's position in the galaxy changed overnight. They were no longer the young, weak species that everyone could ignore. They were a power to be respected. Other species approached them with caution now, with interest, sometimes with fear. In the medical facility beneath Earth's surface, Hay finally woke up. Her body was wrapped in bandages and healing gel. Machines hummed around her, monitoring her recovery. The pain was less than before, dulled by medicine. Nari was there when she opened her eyes. "Welcome back," Nari said softly. "You're safe now. You're home." Hay tried to speak, but her throat was too dry. Nari gave her water, helped her drink. "The Drolth." Hay managed to whisper. "They can't hurt you anymore," Nari said. "They can't hurt any human anymore." "How?" Nari smiled. "Your message got through. We came for you." Tears ran down Hay's swollen face. She had thought she would die alone on that ship, that no one would care enough to save her. She had been wrong. "How many?" Hay asked. "How many came?" "5 of us," Nari said. "That's all it took." Hay closed her eyes. 5 humans had destroyed an entire military cruiser to save her. 5 humans had changed everything. "Rest now," Nari said. "You have a lot of healing to do. And when you're better, you have a choice to make about your future." "What choice?" "Whether you go back to being a translator, or whether you become something more. Earth needs people like you, Hay. People who believe in peace, but understand that peace requires strength." Hay thought about that as she drifted back to sleep. The galaxy had hurt her, but it had also shown her that she wasn't alone. That humanity would never abandon its own. The choice would be easy. 6 months later, Hay stood on the observation deck of Nexus Point Station, the same station where her nightmare had begun. The same corridors she had walked as a frightened translator. But everything felt different now. She was different now. Her body had healed. The broken bones were fixed. The scars mostly faded thanks to advanced medical treatment. But the changes went deeper than that. She carried herself differently, stood taller. Her eyes were harder, more aware of dangers around her. She wore Earth's diplomatic uniform now, with a special badge that marked her as a special envoy. At 20 years old, she was the youngest person to ever hold the position. But nobody questioned it. Everyone knew her story. Everyone knew what she had survived. Ambassador Yuna approached her. The older woman smiled. Nervous about the speech? A little, Hay admitted. I'd never spoken to this many people before. You'll do fine. Just tell them the truth. That's all they need to hear. The auditorium was filled with students from across the galaxy. Young aliens of dozens of different species, all studying at the Nexus Point Galactic University. They wanted to hear from Hay, wanted to understand what had happened and what it meant. Hay walked onto the stage. Thousands of eyes watched her. Some curious, some sympathetic, some afraid. She understood the fear. Humanity had revealed teeth that day 6 months ago. The galaxy was still adjusting to the new reality. Thank you for coming. Hay began in the common galactic language. Her voice was steady. 6 months ago, I stood on this station as a translator. I was 19 years old. I believed in peace between species. I believed that understanding and communication could solve any problem. She paused, gathering her thoughts. Then I witnessed something I shouldn't have. 3 Droll soldiers were smuggling illegal goods. They saw me. They captured me. For 3 days, they tortured me. They broke my bones. They hurt me in ways I still have nightmares about. And they broadcast my screams as entertainment. The room was completely silent. Students who had read about it in reports now heard it directly from her. I thought I would die alone on a Droll ship, far from home. I thought nobody cared enough to save me. I was wrong. Hay pulled up a video on the screen behind her. It showed the Vok Render, the massive Droll cruiser. 5 humans came for me. 5 soldiers that most of Earth didn't even know existed. They destroyed this ship. They killed every soldier aboard. They saved my life. She let the weight of those words settle. Some of you are afraid of what Earth revealed that day. You should be. We have power we kept hidden. We have weapons and soldiers that can fight battles that seemed impossible. We built these things in secret, preparing for the day we might need them. A Droll student in the front row looked uncomfortable. Hay met his eyes directly. But here's what you need to understand. We didn't want this. We came to the stars with open hands. We wanted to learn from you, to work with you, to be part of this great galactic community. We wanted peace. Her voice grew harder. You made us show our strength. Not just the Droll, all of you. The Galactic Council that refused to help me. The species that stood by and did nothing. The systems that let the strong abuse the weak without consequences. You created the situation that forced Earth to act. She changed the screen to show the Civilian Protection Treaty. But something good came from it. This treaty exists now because of what happened to me. Because Earth refused to let my torture go unanswered. Now, civilians from every species have protection. The strong cannot abuse the weak without facing real consequences. That's progress. Hay took a deep breath. I still believe in peace. I still believe different species can work together. But I learned something important. Peace without strength is just waiting to become a victim. Real peace requires the power to defend yourself and the wisdom to know when to use it. She looked around the auditorium, meeting as many eyes as she could. Earth has that power now. Everyone knows it. But we don't want to use it. We want to go back to building friendships, to learning languages, to working together on problems that affect all of us. That's still who we are. That's still what we want. The screen changed again, showing Earth rising behind the station, blue and green against the black of space. But never forget what happens if you hurt us. Never forget that somewhere on Earth, soldiers sleep in cryopods, waiting, ready to protect any human, anywhere in the galaxy. We came to the stars with open hands and hidden fists. Which one you see depends entirely on your choices. Hay finished her speech. For a moment, nobody moved. Then, one student started clapping. Then another. Soon the entire auditorium was applauding. Not everyone looked happy about it, but everyone understood. After the speech, Hay returned to her office. It was small but comfortable, with a window that looked out at the stars. She had work to do. Dozens of species wanted to establish better relationships with Earth now. They wanted trade agreements, cultural exchanges, technology sharing. Earth was no longer ignored. A message came through on her screen. It was from General Bin. She had met him once when she was recovering. He had visited her personally, apologized for not acting sooner, thanked her for being brave enough to send that message. The message was short. Well done. You honored them. Pei knew who them meant. Tay, Jin, Rin, Dao, and Nari, the 5 soldiers who had saved her life. They were back in cryosleep now, waiting for the next time they were needed. She had visited them before they went back under. Said thank you in person. They had been kind to her. These warriors who had killed hundreds to rescue her. Tay had told her something she thought about often. We did this so people like you can keep believing in peace, he had said. Don't lose that. Don't let what happened to you turn you into something you're not. The galaxy needs people who believe in better things. Hay had tried to follow that advice. She still worked for peace, still believed in understanding between species. But now she did it with the knowledge that she was protected. That all humans were protected. On Earth, deep beneath the surface, the garden facility hummed with quiet activity. General Bin walked through the cryo chamber, checking status readings. 512 pods in total. 512 volunteers who had given up normal lives to become humanity's hidden defenders. Only 5 had been needed this time. Bin hoped it would stay that way. Every deployment meant something had gone wrong, meant someone had been hurt. Better to keep the soldiers sleeping, to let their existence serve as warning enough. But if they were needed again, they would wake. They would act. And the galaxy would remember why it was better to leave humanity in peace. Ambassador Yuna submitted her final report on the incident to Earth's government. The report concluded with recommendations for the future. Earth should remain part of the Galactic Council, but maintain its military capabilities. Earth should continue diplomatic efforts while keeping the Garden Project active. Earth should teach the galaxy that humans could be the best friends or the worst enemies. Depending on how they were treated, the government approved all recommendations. Across the galaxy, relationships shifted. The Drolf government underwent major reforms, removing the military officers who had promoted abuse of other species. They issued a formal apology to Earth and to Hay specifically. It wasn't enough to erase what had happened, but it was a start. Other species approached Earth with new respect. Some out of fear, but many out of genuine interest. They had underestimated humanity. They wanted to understand these beings who could hide such power yet choose peace. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchanges began. Human students started attending galactic universities, and alien students came to Earth. The process of understanding each other continued. But now it happened between equals. On Nexus Point, Hay finished her work for the day. She walked through the cargo area where she had been captured 6 months ago. The corridors looked the same, but they felt different. She wasn't afraid anymore. A Drolf merchant passed her. He saw her uniform and her badge. He nodded respectfully and gave her space. Things had changed indeed. Hay returned to her quarters and looked at a photo on her desk. It showed 5 people in military uniforms: Tay, Jin, Rin, Dao, and Nari. The photo had been taken before they went back into cryosleep. They looked like normal humans. Nobody would guess what they were capable of by looking at them. That was the point, she realized. The greatest weapon was the one nobody saw coming. Earth had played weak for 15 years, letting the galaxy underestimate them. Then, when it mattered most, they had shown their true strength, not for conquest, not for domination, just to protect one 19-year-old translator who had seen something she shouldn't have. Hay smiled at the photo. "Thank you," she whispered. "Sleep well. I'll try to make sure nobody needs to wake you again. But if they were needed, they would wake. The garden would bloom again. And the galaxy would remember that humanity's mercy had limits." The stars shone outside Hay's window, bright and endless. Somewhere out there, other humans worked and lived and dreamed. And somewhere deep beneath Earth's surface, 512 soldiers slept, ready. The future was uncertain. But for the first time since coming to the stars, humanity faced it knowing they would never be victims again. They had open hands for friends and hidden fists for enemies. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Now it was time to build something.